We have actually infinite needs and finite resources. I realize that. But even after, if this can't be done this year, I want you all to please consider, after I go off the council, our museum is a gem. It's absolutely critical that we take care of it. And the problem is when people come here to the museum, when they're children or whatever, they have only one restroom in the whole museum. Just, you walk in and there are people with strollers or whatever, and they need to go to the restroom. And I want you all to consider, and I realize we have some dire needs right now, but I want you to consider in the future funding a second restroom. It can be like one stop. It doesn't have to be like a big restroom. It would be close to the children's part of the museum. And anyway, we did get some bids on it in 2021, and they were out the wazoo, too expensive. We're hoping they would come down. So I realize this is not critical right now, but please consider. I would appreciate y'all consider in the future. We do have to take good care of our museum.
So I'm definitely open to it, like futuristically. I was looking at the capital outlay for Museum and Gardens. Their capital improvement projects are about close to $2 million. And so with the various things that they need, irrigation system, just several things. And so I do think that maybe we can look at some numbers and kind of figure out what that could look like in some capital improvement projects. And I know you talked about they have a particular fund. And maybe we can see how we can work in conjunction with them. I will say I don't think that with all of our priorities and needs right now, that it would be a good use of funding for this fiscal year, but I do think that it is something we can prioritize.
I would appreciate it. Annex, I was hoping then, they do have some funding. Not a lot, but they do have some funding. I was hoping that they could split the cost of this restroom with the city. And so please keep that in mind for the future, if not, if it's not possible for this year. Thank you.
Anyone else on that particular matter? Any other? When I get started on my list. Okay. So I do have a few things that I kind of, just a point of discussion for all of us to talk about. I brought up some of the concerns or points of discussion Tuesday at our council meeting. I want to bring up the step versus COLA raises again. And so initially, when obviously in the recommended budget, it was recommended that we did COLA raises across the board. And so that means everybody would be entitled to a COLA raise. Well, after some discussion and really understanding the difference between step raises and COLA raises, I suggested or had conversations that the general pay scale would receive COLA raises, and the public safety pay scale, because there are two different pay scales, would receive step increases for the purpose of ensuring that we remain competitive. Now, last fiscal year, I know that Councilmember Harrington was not on the council, and I don't think Councilmember Downey was here during that time. We did offer COLA raises, I believe, for the general pay scale, and then for the public safety, they received step and COLA. So there was a difference in the type of increases that each pay scale received, and I may be a little off on that, but I know there was a significant difference. But again, as I said last night, or Tuesday night, the sole purpose of step raises, specifically for public safety, is to ensure the competitiveness of our police and fire departments. So I just wanted to open up that conversation with you all again to see what are your thoughts. What route are you wanting to go? I think with COLA raises for the general pay scale, everyone would receive it, regardless if you've gotten a step increase this past year or whether you're topped out, you would receive the cost of living. I don't know the ratio at this point of, and I would doubt that there's very few for police and fire that are topped out. but I just think that's something we need to discuss. And I do also want to reiterate, we had to offer a significant amount of increases last fiscal year because all of our employees really went several years without increases. And so in order for police and fire to remain competitive, you know, we are going to have to think about what that increase is going to look like each fiscal year. So there was a reason why we had to do it.
So let's dive into that first. Okay? So if you say there was a reason why they didn't get raised, was this a planning error on the council's part in the past? Is when
I can't speak as to why leadership in the past did not offer or could not, you know, financially offer raises to employees for several years. I can't. I wasn't on the council at that time.
right, but I mean, I thought when you said kind of like you had knowledge of why they did. I mean, there's knowledge of why it was not raised over a specific period of time.
I would assume it was a financial problem, that it just financially was not feasible. And granted, you have to think during that time, in 2012, went through that crisis, there had to be an increase in sales tax. So, I mean, there has been a transformation financially within the city of Anniston in the last some odd years. So, I don't know if it's necessarily relevant to where we are now, but I think it is important for recruitment, retention, and competitiveness that we do think about those things moving forward.
Right.
We've done a good job. This council, I have to say, has done an excellent job in the last 4.5 years in prioritizing our employees. So I just hope we continue that trend. And that's not to say we can offer COLA and set raises for everybody. That's not physically, you know, where we are right now. But if we can offer a COLA raise, and then on the public safety pay scale, it is the ask of them that it is more, I don't want to say acceptable for a step increase for the purpose of competitiveness.
Well, you know, to shed a little bit of light on that, I can't remember all the facts, but the Police and Fire Pension Fund has been in dire straits for years and years and years. And it, as far as I understand, the fund was kind of kicked down the road for a long time, and not enough money was put into it. And then, as a council, from 2012, we tried to make up for that. I'm not sure how it stands right now. I have not been to a meeting lately, but that has been a huge albatross for the city. We have to take care of our employees, but it's been in a deficit. It's been a terrible situation. So that was a major factor in not being able to give our employees their due raises. So.
And Mayor and Councilwoman, just to chime in with Councilman Harris mentioned regarding the PNF fund, the city did make that change in 2012 to offset not funding the plan. That was not done intentionally by the city. That was done by legislation. So it's not something that the city chose not to do. If you have legislation, you're doing what legislation says. It was projected that the plan would be at $0 at some point in time. However, the plan currently sits at around $43 million. That's just inside the council. And I know Jessica mentioned at the previous work session that the deficit will be paid off within the next couple of years. I just want to give you all the full
Thank you.
Yes.
That's good to know.
So thoughts?
So I guess, I know we can't, I know it's been written well, it said that we can't physically, or we will be physically responsible if we try to give both to everybody. So are we talking about giving one group one, another group something else? Are we talking about split group A gets step raise, group B gets COLA?
Yeah, so neither pay scales will get both. So the general pay scale and the public safety pay scale, two different pay scales. The public safety pay scale would get step raises with a 0.7% higher increase for the purpose of competitiveness. The general pay scale would receive a COLA raise. That was the initial discussion. That way everybody would be entitled to an increase. If you give step raises across the board, I mean, you technically can still give everybody a step raise, even if they had one within the year. You technically can, except for those who have topped out. Those who have topped out would still get a COLA raise if you do just a COLA.
And those who have not topped out and have not received a step raise in the past year would receive the cost of living, and on the public safety side, receive the cost of living and the additional 0.7%. No, 0.7.
No, public safety would not, again, these were just the beginning conversation. Public safety would just be entitled to step raises, which would be separate from COLA.
Okay, and how does that work? How would that, remind me what that breakdown was?
What do you mean?
The percentage.
It's like a 3.14%.
165 or something?
Yeah.
That amount?
Yeah. Yes.
So they would get that in place of, where,
COLA raise.
right.
Hey, Jessica,
Yes, ma'am.
can you touch on the impact of how it would affect the budget if, say, for example, everyone received the step raise and the COLA, or just if public safety received the step raise?
So if, public safety just receives the step and the general does COLA, that's only around $20,000 more. And then if you do COLA plus step, that's over $400,000.
So COLA, so the stuff for the public safety pay scale and the COLA raise increase.
For general,
For general pay scale.
would be around $20,000 more.
The thing is that we have to be fair to all of our employees. So the recommendation was for cost of living. So I'm gonna leave it all for cost of living. Raise.
So, Ms. Bass, would it be appropriate if I asked, since we have the fire department in the room, if I can ask the fire department a question? Chief Phelps.
Yes, ma'am.
I know that the police and the fire department have a specific reason as to why there's a preference for step increases versus COLA raises, specifically for public safety.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you mind speaking on that and why that's important?
Sure, for us, the 0.7, none of that matters, honestly, because a raise is a raise, and we're very appreciative. COLA, step, and for the department, the way our steps work, it'd be 10 years before anybody at my department will ever get topped out. That's where we're all at in the pay scale. But when we lose step raises, we lost step raises for 7 years, and we got a COLA twice in the middle of that. But it starts piling people up on the same pay code, in the same step within the pay code. So when I hire somebody in, I might have an employee that's been there 4 years, and I'm hiring somebody in at the exact same rate of pay. And they've already been there 4 years, been through all the minimum standards training, and have been established as driving trucks at that point, and you're hiring somebody at the same pay rate, which creates major retention problems. Same thing with lieutenants or all the rank structures. I'll promote somebody to lieutenant, and then 3 years down the road, I'm promoting another person to lieutenant, and they're being promoted at the same pay rate. So it's a lot of it is more of a morale issue that it creates. Historically, we lose one step. Everybody kind of expects to get that step and know that in 5 years, this is the pay I'm going to be at. Whether it's step 8, step 9, this is where I'm going to be at that point, and it starts dragging everybody behind. And then I start losing 7 to 10 year people going to other departments that they can start out making nearly what they were making as a 4-year sergeant.
So there's just a real block in the pay scale.
Yeah.
So it's big.
Historically, that is what put us in the situation we're in. We would, because we didn't They would bring our starting pay up, but nothing else. We'll adjust anybody that's a rank, company officers, captains, assistant chiefs, and so you're bringing the bottom end up a little bit, which did attract people, but I couldn't keep them. We would train them, and then they would go to Jacksonville and start out making $5,000 more than we even started out paying, and then they get promoted making $20,000 more than what they would up here promoted. So it just creates massive issues when we start skipping step raises. Obviously, we love to get a step raise in the COLA, but we also understand where we're at, and we don't want to ask the city to hurt over our pay. I would prefer us get a step raise so that everybody advances in the pay scale, to keep from creating problems in 4 or 5 years, because that's where, Ciara, Mayor Smith saw where we were at, and it was not good. We were 13 short. I think the police department was 20 plus short at one time, which also hurts the pension and the city's contributions, and we don't have those units paying into the pension. That's more the city's going to do to keep it actuated, and just create a mountain cascading full of problems for us all.
Steve, what's the year increments in the step raise?
3.1 on a step raise.
Okay, so if you got a step raise this year, when will the next step raise come to pay?
Next, same time next year. That would be, it's a yearly thing that is visited by the council votes on. Kind of same time as the COLA raise. Now, if somebody gets promoted, obviously the way the pay scale works, if a firefighter is promoted to sergeant, there are 2 pay grades. They move to the sergeant pay grade, and whatever the next step that is more than what they're getting paid now, that's what they go to. So they don't get this massive increase. They move into the next grade and can't make less, so they have to bump them up to whatever is just more than what they're getting paid at currently.
Is there a policy, and that was so long ago, about how expensive it is to train, they were talking specifically about the police department, about how expensive it is to train these police officers, and then they leave.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's the same thing with the fire department,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
Is there any kind of policy that they, after training, they have to work so long before they can?
Depends on what the training is for fire recruit school. It's state law that if they leave us within 2 years, that the department they go to has to reimburse us, and it's around between $14,000 and $17,000 for that. If it's for paramedic or anything like that, we sign contracts. If they want to go to medic and want us to pay for it and us to support that, it's a 36-month contract from the time they get licensed. If they fail out of school, they pay us back for everything that we've spent. And so, yeah, we recruit those, try our best to recruit those costs.
Is that common? You see that a lot? People essentially buy our employees.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They definitely, if they can get Anniston, we're a busy department. We're a very progressive department. I'm super proud of the way my guys operate, professionalism, you see their physical fitness standards. If a department anywhere around us can get them and offer them $10 grand more, they're going to do it. They do it just outside of that time frame, legally, there's nothing I can do. Yes, ma'am.
So further discussion?
Yeah, so I guess, I understand what we have to do. I guess my question is, I don't want to set a trap for down the road, right? So, do we have, I understand the public safety piece of it, but are there other departments that are similar to that chief mentioned, right? That someone can come in, say I've been working here 2 years, and somebody coming in, basically doing the same job, making the same thing. Are we set up in that same scenario in different departments? And I say that if so, we could lose, and I know it's not only public safety or whoever, but we could lose like an employee the same way. That makes sense? Yeah.
Yes, in some ways, yes.
In some ways it makes sense.
I think there's a reason why there's a difference in pay scales for public safety and general departments, but I
Say, so we hire someone over in finance, whereas somebody else in finance, whatever level they are, and they will get 2 years and we hire somebody else. And because of the city star pay, but they haven't received the step increase.
I think that's when you get into job descriptions, what they do. I don't know, like I said, I just think there's a reason why there's two different pay scales based off of those particular job duties. But that could be the case. But I also want to emphasize that we were in this scenario last fiscal year and there were separate increases for the pay scales.
One of the ways you have all over the state and all over this country is the same thing. We got problem, retain,
Right.
police, and fire.
Well, that's Anniston across the board, not
No,
only
that's-
the
that's
city.
the state.
You know what I'm saying? Anniston as a whole, from the city employees, or even on the school board side, we have teachers who get their feet wet in Anniston and across the line, definitely because they make $20,000-$30,000 more on the drive. You know what I'm saying? And we lose valuable employees that way. I mean, we're getting ready to transition, and we're bringing on a football club, we're bringing on a lot of things that we're about to venture into. We're gonna need to be ready for situations like this because public safety is now who's next. So, man, I'm cool.
I support the step raises for public safety and the COLA raises across the board.
This just, I do want to also reiterate that it does ensure that all employees receive an increase on the general pay scale, regardless of whether they receive a step increase within the last year or even if they're topped out.
Last year was like temporary wage, right? Well, when I say temporary, the under. Part-time employees. Yeah, part-time employees. Are we dealing with the same?
I think Ms. Leonard did we say, I keep thinking our meeting was yesterday, Tuesday's meeting, that potentially COLA would include part-time employees too?
Yeah, COLA is across the board, so anybody that's on that scale is going to get raised up for what they currently get paid.
Okay. The next thing that I wanted to offer up as an amendment in the city manager portion of the budget, it was budgeted for $5,000 for the youth council. I just wanted to change that from $5,000 to $2,500. I plan on working closely to kind of look at the program aspect of the youth council, and I don't think it's necessary for $5,000 at this moment. So I would amend it by putting the additional $2,500 back into the general fund.
I agree.
The next one was potential decrease in the CIP budget for this year to kind of offset what we're doing. And again, whether it's necessary or not is totally up to you all. I did speak with Chief Phelps on it too. There is 2 vehicles that the fire department had on the CIP list, and I was proposing to remove that because we are also putting a $250,000 deposit for the ladder truck. That's from general fund, and I believe there's an additional $250,000 deposit that's coming from fire tax. So prioritizing that and removing those 2 vehicles, and I think they were training vehicles, and that would save about $120,000. Is that correct, Chief Phelps?
Yes.
Now, it's something we probably will need to address down the road. priority, or doesn't have to be a priority considering. All right, now, the last thing I had on here was trash. So, I know we discussed all of the options. I do think, and this is just my opinion and my perspective, after like taking some time and assessing the situation, I do think that billing should remain with the city, especially if it's saving us over $100,000 or around $100,000. The payment would increase a little over I think it's like $5.40 something cents. I think that in order for us to ensure that we communicate with the community effectively, I know that this will change once the fiscal year begins October 1st. Because we originally were going to bite the cost about $4 if we decided to bill out with them. If we just bite the cost of the five additional dollars for October, November, and December, we start with their payments, their full payments in January. This will give us time to do town halls with the community, let them know why this change is necessary, why trash bills are increasing, and also give them time to budget that for the next year.
So, the scenario that we ran by was outsourcing all of it,
Yes.
and then still absorbing a prorating cost to our customer,
Yes.
and absorbing that into the city.
Yes.
And that was when our expenditure was going to be about $29.
Yes.
So now we're saying we're going to take that down to about $23.50.
No, it would be about 25, because we currently pay $20.
Right,
And then if you add, actually, what?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna take that part of the fee away from the customer, the billing segment of the fee away from the customer.
It would actually be over 25, because I think it was 16 something for the can alone, and then it was additional $9.32. So that was a little over 25. So there would still be an increase for it.
Ms. Leonard, could you speak to that?
Yes.
I don't have that breakdown in front of me, I'm sorry.
I looked at that, and I think it starts 16 for the base can, and I think the $9 includes the curbside pickup, correct?
Yes, the $10 was the additional can. The base pay was a little over $16. Yes, ma'am.
Right. So I didn't see on the thing where it says specifically how much it costs for the building, but I think it's only like $2 and something, correct? Because the base contract doesn't include the curbside pickup. I think the curbside pickup was the additional $9.
Right, the base is just the can. The $9 was the curbside pickup, and then it was like $3.41 or something like that.
Right.
For the billing. Does that sound right, Ms. Leonard?
Yes, but it wasn't like, I didn't even see it broken out for the actual direct billing. My other concern with direct billing is, the city of Anniston currently does not bill for additional cards. And so it's gonna take, I think it's gonna take a whole different program in order for us to efficiently collect these fees. I think it's gonna hurt us more because of the manual process we're doing, but we're gonna have to figure it out, and we're not gonna be able to figure it out by October. Because we don't bill right now, public services bill for second garbage cans.
So I guess my concern with that is, I think if we go the route of this company, the third party billing, with them billing, the base pay is a little over $19. When you add the non-additional $9.32, they're having to pay, the total is what, around $29.
Around $29.
So we're saying that we're going to up until a certain point. I don't know if, I just don't think financially that is a smart move, because we're just saying that's what we're gonna do for now. And then at some point, because we're talking about doing this in phases, the community's gonna have to pay the additional $3-something. At least that's what the conversation was originally. I still think that, and if I'm not mistaken, the employees that work at the front, part of their job description is to handle trash bills or trash payments. I think if the issue is we need to look into a better, more efficient system, then I think that we look into that. But I think if it's gonna save this city money, and it's gonna save, ultimately better the process, create a more efficient system, I think it's something that is worth doing. Now, I don't know if we decide to go the route with a third party, that we can sit here and say, well, we'll cover the additional some odd dollars for the next October, November, December, and then start, that's the hefty amount, that's more than $5. And then start those payments over in January. But I'm just looking from the aspect of, we gotta make sure that we are communicating effectively with constituents, because this is a hefty increase. So.
Agreed. This is
How
not,
much would you feel if we still do direct building? That's only taking $2 and something out. Are we building them for the entire, and we're still just building their 25?
So my suggestion is that, we build them for the entire pay. Because we are taking the brunt of billing and doing all of that work, they would be subject to paying their trash bills with added services, more efficient services added to it. All I'm saying is for the month of October, November, and December, we would take on the cost of the additional $5 for the sake of, and I believe we did this last time, for the sake of ensuring that we're communicating effectively with the community, having those town halls and those meetings to let people know why that change is happening and give them time to assess their budget for the beginning of the year in January.
So we would be talking about potentially 2 rate increases in the next year? We're talking about an initial rate increase and then another $5 rate increase after the first of the year, is that?
No, so I'm not talking about 2 rate increases. So the entire pay, if we do in-house billing, the cost of one can and the household trash is going to be a little over $25 and some odd cents.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, we start that entire $25 increase in January for the community. It technically starts in October for us because that's when the contract starts.
Right.
But I think that the city should be willing to take on the additional $5 cost for October, November, and December to make sure that we get out to the community why this increase is happening.
I agree.
And it gives people time to assess their budgets.
And that is budgeting for us to maintain billing in-house.
Yes.
Okay, so not one second.
let's talk about the budget. Let's talk about building in the house. Manual process.
And we're losing money still every year.
Ms. Leonard, would you have any idea how much money we lost last year?
We lose, I think we're around $100,000 a year from trying to build them. It's just that it's hard because we add our bill onto them. Once they get to, I think, over 60 now, we cut them off. But by the time they get their trash picked up, they've already received our free service because we're building for them.
If they even get their trash can picked up.
Correct. This time, all of them will be picked up. That's what we're looking at.
So
But I think it's gonna be a significant change either way.
So your
I just think
estimate is approximately $100,000 a year
that we're losing.
that we're losing to trash service.
Correct. And I feel that it's because, well, we're losing more because we're actually being billed right now for 6,000 cans and we're not even picking up 6,000
I don't really have.
But I think it's important to note that part of that is because there's no actual effective system between Republic Services and the city.
Exactly.
But it was stated on Tuesday that they actually have a system.
Well, then I was gonna say, if we're losing $100,000 a year, surely then we can afford to build a system or have a system built, pay to have a system built of tracking our collection services.
I mean,
The
they
collection
say
of our-
that, you know, they currently work with a municipality that does that effectively.
That is, if we have our own system in the long run, it's cheaper for our consumers.
And potentially easier for our
And
employees.
it's easier for our employees if we build out a system for monitoring trash collection. So does that make sense to everybody? Does everybody feel that?
I understand what you're saying, but I respect it. Because the amount of money we're losing now, we keep it, say if we lose money at the same rate, at the same, not dollar rate, well, our dollar rate is gonna increase because the trash bill is gonna increase. So if we're paying, so basically, I'll be taking Joe's money, I'll be taking Joe's money, we have a problem with Republic not knowing who's behind the bill, who not to pick up, who to pick up cans. There was always an issue with, there's a gap between that. You know what I'm saying, just because the third party, somebody behind, we pay the bill, somebody come up and swear it. I paid my bill last week, they can't pick my trash can up this morning. If we outsource it, we're saving a small portion of money, but we're saving a bigger portion of headache because we don't have to worry about that bigger portion. And as soon as they get behind, that company is responsible for notifying the drivers. And I'm quite sure it's just a matter of if you go red and your address just pops up on that little computer screen, then they don't pick it up or they pick up the can and take it with them. I think building the system or finding the software that's compatible.
Right, it would need to be able to be integrated with the software that the collection service uses.
So I think it's important to know we're not reinventing the wheel.
No, yeah.
Because 120, there were issues with Republic, but we're not dealing with them anymore because
Right.
they didn't, and technically we haven't voted on the bid, but they're not the recommended bid. 121 Disposal already works with municipalities that do this on their own and have a system that works hand in hand with theirs. So there may be a system that we can
I would think
put in to make it more efficient.
We can build a system that will integrate with their system in real time, so that they know who to pick up and who not to pick up, based on our system, which marks someone either suspended or active, based on whether or not they pay. So
Now, my understanding is that 121 is this, regardless, it's gonna cost us more anyway. If they're taking over the building, if they take over the building, not only are we making sure that we're not going to pay someone else's bill when they're actually not paying their bill, and the bill is not on us. All that is taken care of by 121, but it's still gonna cost us an additional cost anyway, because the increase, $5?
Yes, yes.
So why do we put the headache back on us to do the building?
I agree with you.
So let's.
Well, I think that our bill is gonna go up in general, because we're increasing our service, increasing our services.
Mhm.
So if we, I guess, if we weren't increasing services, including the curbside service, the bill would actually go down if we did billing in the house ourselves.
I guess my concern is if we outsource this and we just say we don't want to bill anymore, which again is a part of people's job descriptions, then we we're still, the city is saying, hey, we're gonna cover the additional $3 something, almost $4, let's just say it's $4. We're gonna cover that for how long at an additional cost to us, when that money could be saved and we could be using that money for other needed resources throughout the city. If the system is a problem, that's a system that we can address, because again, we're not reinventing the wheel.
So how much are we saving for?
She said Tuesday over $100,000.
But let me
But I
ask
think
you,
it's gonna cost us because we're gonna have to have a better program, or it's not gonna work.
I mean, I think that's a one-time expense versus us having to continuously pay this additional $4.
So,
No, we continuously pay for the program yearly. All of our programs are annual.
And would that be more expensive than paying that almost $4 annually for each person that has service?
That I can't say, it just depends on what kind of program.
I just don't think that's realistic.
what you mentioned earlier, I think maybe the best possible scenario for us is that from October to December, we pay the addition, but after that, the customer has to wind up paying. There's no, and that's in order to inform them not only of the increase, but why we actually wind up doing it.
Would it be possible to contact the cities who are doing the building themselves and find out what the obstacles are or what the advantages are? And we don't have to vote on this today or any, we have a little bit of time to
Well, I
do
do want to
this.
say, we do have to vote on this bid as soon as possible because our contract with Republic ends September 30th.
I think we're gonna vote on the,
Yeah.
but the budget issue.
Well, I mean, when you
We're
vote on
gonna
the
go,
bid,
we're
you're
gonna,
voting on,
we're gonna go into service,
yeah.
we're gonna take on their services one way or another, we have a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I don't think it's a matter of us taking, we're gonna, it seems
We're gonna go.
they gave us one for the lead.
Right.
The most economically sound thing to do is to take that lead. Now, what we're trying to figure out is how we implement it.
Right.
Right, and I guess I'm just a firm belief that it's not saying it's a great idea, let's look and see what other cities are doing. But if we can take the building off of us, and I understand that's collecting the trash and then put it into the job description. But is that a major part of their job? I guess is what
Well, billing, I mean, if they're up there, then it's either what, billing for business license or trash bills?
Correct.
I mean, I guess I just, I don't know.
But she doesn't do the billing, honestly, she just does the collections.
So,
Our revenue compliance specialist does the billing.
Ms. Leonard, how long do you think it would take to put an updated, collections program together?
I think it's gonna at least take us 3 months.
I'm thinking futuristically, what's gonna, Impact.
So September 30th.
the changes are gonna happen regardless.
September 30th.
Right, right.
So October 1, we're gonna need some traffic.
Yes.
Do we have time to work out all the kinks between August 21st and
The kinks in our collection, sir?
however we implemented the issue. However we want to implement it, do we have enough time to make any changes outside of what they have in this city?
So I think regardless, it's not necessarily about time, and we're gonna have to make changes regardless. We have no choice but to make changes because we're no longer gonna be with Republic come September 30th. It just depends on what type of changes you wanna make. It's not business as usual because we're changing the third party regardless. We're not with Republic anymore.
I think we'll understand that, but I mean, saying,
It's hard to know what the most cost-effective option is, I think.
do we have the time to figure it out?
Not before we need this.
Not before we want services. So what I'm saying is, I think right now, it's in our best interest to take the lead with the building, because we don't have time to figure out the building portion of it. Because October 1, we need traffic, or our phones are ringing.
It's cleaner, the way you're talking about, it's cleaner and easier. The way you're talking about it might save us money, but like you say, we have time.
We don't have time.
And I thought that the representative said one city was doing their own billing. Maybe I misunderstood. And why are the other cities letting them bill, to do billing? There must be some good reasons for that, and probably because it's cleaner. More simple, cleaner.
What I'm saying, listening to a suggestion is, if we can get them to agree to a bid, how often we have to do this bid?
So, okay, we go the suggestion route of letting them bill, which is going to give us about it's gonna be close to $29, if not $29. With the plan of us continuing to bill, I suggested just, us paying the $5 additional October, November, December. Take that off the table, we do what you guys are stating. That means the increase will happen on October 1st, period. Are we saying that we're gonna take the $9 increase October, November, December? Or are we gonna give them the $25, which is gonna be a $5 increase, and us continue to pay the $3-something for the rest of the school year?
I would say, Mayor, that's the most attractive option for us. If we were already considering taking that cost away, absorbing some of that cost, then I would say to start it out and then start immediately and absorb that cost.
So you're saying the city would take on the additional $9 October, November, December, and then we'll start some odd dollar increase in January.
So that's over $100,000.
No, I hate to respectfully disagree with you all on this route. Now, I respect the majority, 100%, but I do not think that this is wise for us.
So when we changed it last year, well, we changed it in 2021, whatever. Then we gave the public a cutoff date, and we was looking all right. Or went from 8 to 20.
It went from 12 to 20.
So it was all right.
Yeah.
So when we did the $8 increase, we gave them, one time. And then we went on higher. So I mean that, even if we gave it just to the end of the year, and I understand us not wanting to go. I understand the whole thing about us not wanting to give the public the $29 without being able 4 years later, that's another $9 jump. But we're also increasing We increased the pickup.
But the
Tremendous.
thing is, we don't have to give them the $29 if we maintain billing. That is a choice that the city is making. If we say we don't want to do the billing anymore, so the increase is $29. That is not a have to. That's just what may be most feasible to what you guys think.
But you look
It's
at.
gonna go up. It's gonna go up either way though, because building is only $2 and something, I think. I don't know where they get into 3 something, I'm confused, but I think building is only like $278. So it's still gonna be, what, 26 something per customer? Are we gonna still push it on? So either way it goes, aren't we going up?
I think it was like 25.
When you do that, you get more than you get now. Because right now, for the price that we give is 20, is all you get is the, trash pickup. With the additional $9, only the free pickup weekly, not monthly.
Right,
but weekly.
right. Which I think is a plus to the community for sure.
You know, ideally, I think that ideally, and I know, you know, everything is not ideal, but situations still don't happen ideally, typically. But we would maintain billing in-house, fix our system, so that we can operate a clean system. We already or have a structure in place, we're taking payments in, processing, it's not perfect, it doesn't work as efficiently as it should, but build that system just to save our customers bad funds.
But what you have, what you will have, actually, man, excuse me, have is still to the point, if you got customers who did not pay, we still don't have to pay.
I understand.
Well, they said they have a system in place to address that though. The Republican did not. 121 disposal does. Now, I don't think that any of this is going to be perfected for the first 3 to 6 months. It's going to take longer just like it did last time.
I totally agree.
But it's just, it depends on, you know, the route you guys want to take this. I again, will move forward with whatever you guys think. I still think long-term, we have to address our internal issue and make that better so that we can do this more efficiently. But if that is not the route that you guys are going to take, again, I respect either way.
Well, I don't think, I think we all have the same end goal.
For sure.
I think right now, these avenues are depending on how we come out the gate. Because if we come out the gate with this thing wrong, it's bad. It's limited.
Yes, sir.
Could we do what the moderator is trying to do? Well, no, you said no already, but what changes would that make for our staff, other than vacant staff? So we already.
If we keep building in-house,
Right.
the only thing is we're gonna have to determine how to charge additional cards. And we are going to have to determine, and with 121, they have a system in place, you know, that they can stop billing, they can do 90-day cutoffs, they can do reconnect fees. We don't have any of that. The only thing we're going to have to give them is going to be manual. We're going to have to give them spreadsheets saying these are the active customers. I don't think there's a way I could integrate with their system to, you know, shut off or shut on. It's just that we're going to have to, if we keep it in-house, we're going to have to hand that to them. But I already know when we reach out to Millie to change this for this additional parts, it's going to take time because everything we have done to try to change with them has been wrong. Everything that we tried to do with them, they cannot do.
And you're talking about Republic, is Leonard?
The Millie Link, our current garbage billing system. We tried to change digitally, but it was gonna be even more tedious for the, consumer, so I stopped that because I didn't wanna hurt them anymore with the building. But we've been trying to change it.
Well, I guess my initial concern, my other concern is really not over one reason. That's coming fast. So really, we're looking September 1 on that, or we're looking, September 2, if they need 4 weeks. If they need 4 weeks to input all our information into their system, it's 4 weeks prior to October. These services will go into effect October, but we need to add some information 4 weeks before that, right? Today.
Right, they told me all they need is our customer list, they gave me the information, but as long as we submit the active people to them and the phone numbers, they'll automatically put it in their system. If we keep it, I guess we can, I don't know how we would wipe it out and start over, honestly, how they're going to do when it comes to the cans.
Also, I think Republic will be required to go around and pick up their cans.
I'm not sure.
Yes.
That's what they said.
That was it. Republic has to pick up their cans. They, once when the home issue their own cans.
Right.
Which they was, how much money we're gonna lose? Will we have to write up anything once again with Republic? Or I guess what I'm asking is, do we have a house?
Yes, they told me that our service is in completely as soon as they take over, and yes, we will be right now, because we still have balances of people that suspended and do not pay. We just need better processes. We also need a process to where if someone is suspended for so long, just like 121, we can go further to collect, but we didn't want to do that in the past, so we haven't, tried to send it to collection agencies or anything like that. We just need a good process in place in order for us to keep it in-house. I just don't know if we can do that this fast.
Hey, we take the billing off the employees, we can get them to be collected. Just joking. Oh, well. Yes, that's. I think, I would be for maintaining our own in-house collection services and billing services and increasing the quality and efficiency of that service, updating that service. And I think that in the long run, that's the money saver. And it's surely cheaper on our customers.
I definitely think we can do it in-house. I'm just worried about doing it right now.
I don't think that we can do it right now. I think that we just have to eat the cost for now until we have our more efficient system. Can we have this conversation once in a while? Can you reach out to the representative? What I'm asking, can you reach out to the representative and ask, because there may be a situation where they can give us some training. We give them a contract, and they can work with us to help us set ourselves up, or maybe have a program that we can actually lease from them for the time being.
I'll call them tomorrow, and I'll call the cities that they work with too, if I
Right,
need to. I mean,
that's, because that's the best,
necessary.
I would say October 1, it was brought up a great point, September 1, before we start. Trash.
But it is something that we are gonna have to address
We're
seriously.
gonna have that special meeting.
about trash, I have not had one of them complain about paying more for trash service when they're getting more. I have, every single one of them has just about has reminded me that last time you told us we were paying more for trash service, we didn't necessarily get more trash service. But I have not had one that's complained about additional costs if the services are there.
And I think that's the main
I have
point
not had one person.
that is being made. You know, we're not, first of all, we don't come up with these numbers. I think that's important to say, because I did see a couple comments there. But anyways, we don't, you know, this is bidded on by companies, third-party companies, and I'm speaking so hopefully they can hear me. So these numbers aren't made up by the city. The whole purpose of this increase is because there's additional services being provided. So you have your regular trash, you know, that's being picked up weekly, and then you also have your household items that are being picked up weekly, not monthly, not every now and then, weekly. So every week you can expect those services to be provided, which is something that we've not had, or at least in a long time, I would say.
One question I have about someone asked me is, what if I don't put trash out on the curb? What's that?
They still gonna do it.
Then we'll put it out on somebody else's car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was, I don't know, he was dead serious about it, but
Maybe not today, but tomorrow.
So again, you know, I'm in support of what you guys think is the most feasible. Ms. Leonard, I don't know if maybe speaking with 121 Disposal and to see how, you know, what cities they work with that do the in-house billing, if, you know, what a system could look like for us and how long it would take to, you know, put in place, or, you know, go the other route of letting them bill and us eat the costs for the next fiscal year. Ultimately, you know, I just know that we gotta make that decision soon. I also don't mind calling and getting information either, so.
yeah, that's what you gotta call, that way, if she has any questions about the program side, something else.
I can call.
We reached out to, Phoenix City already.
Okay.
That's the, city that does their building.
Have they given an answer or anything yet?
I have no idea because Public Works, sent it and we are both out at the moment.
Okay, I'll follow up tomorrow.
Will you give us, I mean, I hate to put this on you, Madam Mayor, but, when you find out additional information about Phoenix City, or if they can assist us with their own system, would you relay that information back to us?
I will call Phoenix City first thing in the morning.
Okay.
And I will get with Ms. Bass on all the information I get from them,
Okay.
and make sure you guys receive an email, including you, Ms. Leonard, and Ms. Arnett too, everything that they say.
It's complicated, and we need to make the right decision on this, and,
Things you could possibly have something that could, that was,
Sure, so good, 121.
yeah.
They could say, that's a common, I'm sure that's a common theme for them. They may have a plug and play answer for us.
Fine. So I will do my best to get all those answers tomorrow morning.
thank you.
That was it on some of the changes and the point of discussions for me. Sorry, Ms. Leonard, to keep you so long, I know you're sick. But if
Okay, I have to post this to the public by Saturday, so are we good to go? What is your decision on step total? Or do you want me to just post as is and you all make that decision at the next council meeting?
well, so from what I'm gathering, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys are okay with doing step increases for public safety and COLA increases for general pay scales.
Yes.
So we can post that change?
Okay. Total will be at 2.5%, correct?
Yes, ma'am, and step for public safety, the 3.1 something, 4 or 5, I guess.
Yes, ma'am.
So for, just for clarification purposes, since you'll post that, I don't need to make an amendment on that, right?
That's correct. If I post it to the public, already changed, you will not have to amend.
So can things that we talked about, we were in agreement with, could we do that too?
Right, well, yes, I can move on.
So that, and I can send you an itemized email, but I just wanna say it publicly so we're all on the same page.
Okay,
The cut from the $5,000 that was budgeted for the youth council, changing that to $2,500, and the additional $2,500 would go to the general budget. Were you guys okay with that? The general fund. And then the 2 vehicles, that was in the CIP for this year for the fire department, and I believe it was a total of $120,000.
yes.
That would be removed from the CIP list for this fiscal year. Are you guys okay with that?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
Also, at your Tuesday meeting, the council did approve the employee appreciation policy. However, you all did not set an amount of how you wanted that to be. Now, this employee appreciation policy is for the Christmas lunch for city employees, for service awards for our retirees, and typically the recommendation from our HR director was around $6,000, because the cost for our Christmas lunch was around $2,000 last year, service awards around $2,400, and so that's for those items. These are not for gift cards or anything monetary. It's just, and all these funds will be housed through HR, so they will kind of make that determination for what we use for.
So recommendation is $6,000.
Yes.
Are you guys okay with that?
As long as that's enough.
I'll just run the
As long as that's enough, Rashawn, is that enough?
Hey, if you wanna offer more, we won't say
So
no.
5,000 is.
6,000.
Oh.
Are you guys okay with recommending that?
I'm good for it.
Ms. Leonard, $6,000 for employee appreciation program.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And then one thing, if I might, Jessica, correct me if I'm wrong, and just for the council and the mayor, we had discussed the library issue, and I know the director, Mr. Ciara, is present, so I just wanted to make sure we did know that we had that in contingency, because we deemed the issue with the roof to be an emergency, is that correct?
You said we had a contingency for emergencies, correct?
Yes, and the library is considered one of those emergencies.
Correct, we have $300,000 again, I believe, for contingency. Let me verify.
Poor people.
Yes, we have $300,000 in contingency.
And in the benefit of council and mayor, the library is experiencing some type of leak. Our, public works director is currently out, he is sick, but he should be back in the office next week, and he should go out and examine that roof, and we'll start the process to bid out, so we can have numbers. So I think in 2023, the projected bill was around 93 at that time, which might be higher now in 2025. But I just want mayor and council to be aware that we did consider the library routine.
Thank you so much. Any more questions or concerns? Y'all good?
But yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't get you. Go ahead.
I'm just to believe that we have to be good stewards over the taxpayers' dollars. And some things are nice to have. I looked at this budget, but I also looked at the cost of some of the nice to have that we have. One of the things is I don't have it here because Ms. Jenner was out and she gave me one other than what I was looking for. But I looked at, we have 2 golf courses. The municipal court, I'm not so sure about how much income and output for this year, but the year to come, but I looked at Cane Creek. Right now, Cane Creek and the, restaurant, we still have 4 months to go. They're at $1,132,000 for the cost. How many streets could that? Now, I'm not suggesting we do that with Cane Creek. I'm suggesting we maintain Cane Creek. But the municipal court, I am Johnson.
Johnson.
Yeah, because of the fact, we already have one golf course, and they could probably use Cane Creek, in order to do that. But right now, Cane Creek itself and neither of these places are self-sufficient. $1,132,000 something dollars just in this, and we still have 4 months to go. And when I say that, not only Cane Creek, but the restaurant as well, because they're both there together. So my recommendation is that the municipal court, one of those three recommendations be done with that. Because of the fact, citizens are saying to me, Harrington, they're not saying you all, they're saying y'all need to do something about these streets. And we need the money, we need to make sure that the money that we are actually spending, we can't help everybody. We can try, but we can't help everyone. And not only that, let me ask this. I look at the budget for those people who are supposed to be recruiting for us. I'm not saying they're not doing a good job. I'm not saying that. However, from the time the bypass has been open, how many, Ms. Lynn, are you aware of the fact how many businesses we had this last year? You know that? You, Ms. Lynn?
How many what?
Businesses that were brought to the city this past year, approximately.
I think it was it around 300?
Okay.
New business license?
Okay, so were they 1 or 2 hires or 3 or 4 hires? But what I'm looking at is, from the time the bypass has been open, from Henry Road all the way over to 431, there's absolutely nothing on it. Absolutely nothing on the bypass. And the next thing is, my citizens in my area are saying to me, Harrington, why is it that I got to leave my neighborhood and go to somebody else's neighborhood in order to shop for groceries? So I'm not saying that they're not doing a good job. What I'm saying is, we need to do a better job when it comes to bringing businesses in, and we got the bypass, but there's nothing. Now what happened is that initially when they opened up, there was some up there by where Summer All Day was, when you go in this shortcut into the floor by Lowe's, there were cement blocks put out there. But those blocks have since been removed. We've got to make sure that we're spending the taxpayers' dollars wisely. Cane Creek, I spoke to the director about that. They need to have a 2-year plan of how they're going to become not self-sufficient, but do a better job of what they're going to do. Okay, we presently have 2 community centers. The next month, what I'm going to do in the one that's in my area is have a meeting with people. If you want this community center to remain open, you've got to utilize it. It's not, there are 2 community centers that are not being utilized to their effectiveness. And so, as a result of that, if they want the community centers to stay open, they need to start utilizing them in order to be able to do that. So, really, we need to look at how the amount of money, when I spoke to the Parks Director the other day, is that I asked him to look at, 2 years down the road, how are you going to fix this problem? Because none of the places, and not this year, but it's been going on in a long time, that we've been spending quite a bit of money, in these areas, and look at where I wrote, and we're looking at lighting for the city, but it has to be paid. But what needs to happen is that we need to do good stewardship of the dollars that we're spending. These I say are nice to have. There are some other areas that I'm looking at as well, but these are the areas that I look, because I know for a fact, probably, they have not been self-sufficient since their inception. But the amount of money we're spending is really just too much.
Councilmember Harrington, I'm just curious. Is the swimming pool of the South Highland, how much is that going to be utilized?
They don't have one in South Island.
Excuse me,
No, we do have a pool, it's Washington Pool in South Anniston. It's just not at South Island.
Yeah, it's on,
I remember,
Christine, it's on Christine.
and Mr. Fox used to say that it wasn't being utilized, it was costing the city a lot of money every year. So, I don't know, I go by there sometimes, I never see anybody there, I don't know if.
So I live in South Anniston.
Okay.
And so I walk the park often.
Uh-huh.
During the summer, it's only open during the summer for a certain period of time. It is utilized every week by our summer camps.
Okay.
And then also, we have about 2 or 3 events that are done every year where they do, for the individuals who throw the events, they pay for everyone swimming, so it's technically like a free swimming event for, the community. So, I mean, I don't know as far as what the maintenance costs are throughout the year, but it is utilized when it's open. Now, it's probably not gonna be utilized if you go on a Monday or Tuesday during the day and the kids aren't there. It may not be as utilized as, heavily as we would imagine for it to be, but I can say, as a resident of that area, that it is utilized. Now, the community center itself is not as heavily utilized. I know Ms. Guy sent us an email about, and it's a true statement. We have community centers that are underutilized, and I don't know if we can couple that with, some additional programming or whatever the case may be, but, we've talked about this, and we do have to figure out what we're going to do to address that issue involving our community centers. We have Wiggins, Carver Center. Wiggins is owned by the school system though, but we maintain the maintenance. And Ms. Leonard and Ms. Guys, do we pay the utility costs? Or, I know we pay for the employees to be housed there, and we also pay for, maintenance, but does the school pay utility, or do we?
Yes,
So the school,
utilities are out of school.
okay, so the school pays utilities, and then we have Carver Center, the Aquatic Center, Hodges, and South Highland. And I believe in the email we received, our most underutilized, South Highland and Wiggins.
Now, I don't recall seeing, but do they still have the pool over there at the Councilman?
No,
Okay.
that's been closed for a long time.
So that was a mission, Bill was talking one point in time about taking that and turning it into that portion, turn it into a skate park, and kind of making it whole from making a park, or enhancing the park with a skate park, similar to I guess the little ball track is gonna be, because of the problem with community centers right now, and we had this issue a long time ago, the kids that were there were in volunteers, and they don't come out the hill. And so they don't go utilize the center. Outside of the industrial leagues and these were small, different little adult leagues that play basketball, most of all our community centers are underutilized. Wiggins is probably the one that has the most kids close to it, but we don't own that one. It's a smaller gym. However, the director over there, she does a great job with programs, but they all seem to be confined to that spot. I think if we could get her to kind of take her program that she has
one or the other, or any of the center direction of the way. You said yes, you just move the employees to another location, they could actually do it. Now, how I looked at the restaurant, one of the things I told them, it's not advertised. There's no, there may be a part of the problem. And if we increase on the pricing, we say, so they didn't even know there was a restaurant out there.
That's a good point that you make, because I didn't know about Cambridge until I became on the city council. And so I think they have really good food, and I think if we could have better advertisement, people would, hey, that's not, and people may assume that it's just for people who go and golf, or people, you know, if you're a city employee, you know, it's for everybody to come and enjoy. So maybe we could come up with a better marketing scheme for our Cane Creek restaurant to bring in some more dollars. That was a really good point that you made.
And you gotta try to top this week.
Well, I had a person tell me that they went to lunch there, and the amount of food that they received, they had lunch for the next day. So that tells you that they're doing a good job, but not only are they not charging enough, the food and the alcohol is the problem. And so they probably need to increase the amount of money they're asking for those. But they also need to do advertising so people know that they're there.
Okay. So, to your point, I think those are really ongoing discussions. What I think would be, or what I can do now, is, would you like to schedule a meeting with Retail Coach? Retail Coach is who we currently use as a consultant for retail, just to hear their process of what they're doing to recruit businesses to the area, and maybe see what their contractual obligation is. So you know exactly what we're paying out for, what are those processes, maybe implementing, monthly updates or quarterly updates. I think that we should be doing that with majority of our consultants. We have a lot of contracts with engineering consultants for various projects, and we're paying them out. And I'm not saying that you guys don't know what they're doing, but we just don't know. We don't receive any updates, so that may be something that we can ask for.
I believe that is a very hospital that the businesses that we have that actually received license last year. My concern is this. Yes, I have a business, but how many employees do we have? Do we have one? Do we have two? If we have 100 businesses apply this year for business license, what's the benefit for the community?
And you would like to do an analysis on the municipal court?
Yes.
Okay.
I can't speak to business development close to Lowe's, and I know that is feasible. Because I understand where Jack's is, that particular area, there's an issue with the sewer. And that's why it's been a slow go. That's my understanding.
Well, one of the things we had was, they needed a tower, a water tower.
I was saying, there's a water service issue here too.
And my understanding is, well, when they agreed, I think something like $3 million with that tower.
It's now close to 6 million.
Mama, jeez.
But our lobbyist is working really hard to hopefully get a congressional appropriation on that. So we're actively trying to get funding. No, we have not. It's not a project that's been pushed on. We've talked about it a lot over the last few years.
I told this. But we really need to know, if you're spending money, we need to know what we're spending money for.
Anything else?
I'm sorry, I kept on, I really got to be home before we go.
No, those were good discussion points, Mr. Harrington. Well, Ms. Bass, do you have anything?
Nothing additional, Mayor, but I did want to ask council, did you all really need to have another work session, or are you all pretty concise with tonight's?
I'm pretty good. I think just as far as the budget, I think we're good on that from my standpoint. But I think the only thing that we do need to follow up on, which has nothing to do with the budget workshop, would be the trash situation, which I'll do, what I need to do in the morning and make sure I
I
follow up.
think we can do that without work session.
Yeah, we can do that without a work session, and I do know that we would probably have to do call a meeting for that, but, you know, we'll get together on that, so.
Well, I mean, you get everything inside coming in, it's gonna be,
One on September second.
that's
Well, the special call meeting on the second, that morning around 12, is just canvass the votes. You also have another council meeting that evening.
that's right.
Okay. So, I mean,